Thanks for tuning in to The Rachel Hamm Show, where you'll find the inspiration, encouragement, and tools you've been craving. Be sure to hit subscribe and give this video a quick like. Now, here's Rachel.
Hi, this is The Rachel Hamm Show. I'm Rachel Hamm. Happy 2025. I hope that your year is off to a fantastic start and that you're excited about all that this year is going to hold for us. I think it's going to be a very interesting year, to say the least. And today I'm going to share with you what I believe God showed me for the year, about what He's doing, but then also about what the enemy is doing so that we can be very well prepared. But before I get started, I want to let you know that I was having trouble with my cameras today. And so I went ahead and I'm just doing this show in audio. But from what I hear, most of you only listen to the show anyway. So maybe this is like no big deal. Maybe even I'll switch to doing it this way. I don't know, because it's a lot less work when you don't have to do all your hair and makeup. And I'm kind of not really a hair and makeup kind of girl. So I don't know. We'll see. Let me know. Actually, if you could leave a comment down below and let me know what you think, or in the live chat, let me know. Do you just pretty much listen to shows like this, or do you really watch the screen and prefer live video as opposed to just audio? I know for myself, as I listen to all the shows that I listen to, I really don't look at the screen. Like, I'm usually doing other things and just have it playing while I'm doing other things. So I'm more of an audio person, but I'd love to hear from you. Does it matter? Do you care if my face is on the screen live, or are you fine with audio? So leave a comment and let me know. Okay, let's get started. So I want you to picture a boxer. Now, I'm personally going to picture Mike Tyson. Here's a little picture on the screen for you of Mike Tyson and I when I got to meet him at Mar-a-Lago. Amazing, so fun. He was super charming, smelled amazing. By that, I mean the cologne was 10 out of 10. And his arms appeared to be made of steel. So I don't know if I've ever felt muscles like that when I touched his arm. It was literally like touching a piece of rock or steel. It was remarkable. So that's what I want you to picture. I want you to picture a boxer like Mike Tyson. Okay. So when a boxer is preparing to be, let's say, in the Olympics, what do they do to prepare? Obviously, they do a lot to prepare, but I kind of want to like boil it down to two main things that they do. The first thing is they make themselves ready and strong, right? They have to eat the right things. They have to work out, lift weights, prepare their body. They have to practice, 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 practice. They have to focus intensely on the goal at hand and make sure that their body, mind, soul, and spirit is in top-notch shape so that they are ready to fight. The second thing that they do is they study their opponents. They need to know their opponent's strengths and weaknesses. They need to really know how they can best leverage their enemy's weaknesses, and they need to know how to prepare to defeat their strengths, right? So they need to get themselves ready, number one. Number two, they need to study their opponents so that they can successfully defeat them. Okay, with that in mind, that picture in mind, and those concepts in mind, let's read out of 1 Corinthians 9:24 through 27. Do you not know that in a race, all runners run their very best to win, but only one receives the prize? Run your race in such a way that you may seize the prize and make it yours. Now, every athlete who goes into training and competes in games is disciplined and exercises self-control in all things. They do it to win a crown that withers, but we do it to receive an imperishable crown that cannot wither. Therefore, I do not run without a definite goal. I do not flail around like one beating the air, just shadowboxing. But like a boxer, I strictly discipline my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached the gospel to others, I myself will not somehow be disqualified as unfit for service. Okay, so this passage was perfect as far as explaining and exemplifying what it was that I felt like God showed me for 2025. My husband and I always seek the Lord on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day about the year ahead, and sometimes even the week leading up to New Year's. We're really focused on what is God saying for the year ahead. And it was interesting because most years we come together and we've heard the exact same thing, which I love, of course, right? Because if we're listening to the same Holy Spirit, then we should at least have things that are confirming one another, even if we don't hear the exact same thing. And that's what happened again this year. So, this is what I felt like the Lord said about 2025. He said, this is a year to focus and become very fruitful, very productive, and run to live a life of significance. Now, you could say to some degree, you should always be living that way. I guess you could, right? You could say that. But this was very specific. In fact, I even felt like he said the last 4 years have been years of fighting and almost like just doing what we had to do to stay alive, keep going, get through, fight the battles at hand. And while it was productive because we have overcome so many things in these years and we've had such a great awakening and it's continuing to happen, so exciting to see. I mean, I can't believe the amount of celebrities right now that are coming to know the Lord, that are proclaiming faith. It's so encouraging. So there's a lot of good, right? Sorry, Nikki's barking. There's a lot of good that has come out of these 4 years. But I felt like the Lord was saying there's really going to be a shift in this year. And it felt like the first part of the year was going to have some battles, some continued battles. But then before the year is over, we really will have shifted into something very different where we are being called. I believe you and me both are being called to be very focused. What land has God called you to? What field is he asking you to plow? Do you know the answer? If you don't, obviously ask him to show you, but hopefully you know, what are you called to? Where do you have influence? What kind of gifting do you have? What arena are you called to be in? Whatever it is that hopefully already is coming to mind, but again, if it's not, ask the Lord to show you. But whatever it is, he is saying, focus, focus. Because this is the thing. We can get so spread thin and so distracted and so busy just doing a million different little things. And what happens is that we then never really do anything significant. Yeah, we're busy. We're busy, all right. So we can feel justified, right? Because, oh, I'm so busy. But if we're not really focused, if we're not clear about what we've been called to, then we can just spread ourselves thin. Kind of think of it as like busy work in school. You know how like the teacher needed to get some stuff done? So she would give you like math facts sheets where you'd sit there and practice your multiplication tables over and over and over. It wasn't really that you needed that practice. It was that she needed to get something done. And so she was giving you busy work, work to keep you busy. Not necessarily super productive work, just work to preoccupy you. That's what a lot of us are doing. A lot of us are busy with work that is not very productive. It's not the best use of our time. And the Lord is saying, focus, focus. What have I called you to do? Who are you? What kind of skills and gifts have I given you that you can contribute to the world around you? Are you highly focused on what it is and how to best use your time to maximize the gift that God has given you? Think in terms of the talents, you know? The Lord was highly pleased with the one who maximized his talents. The one that played it safe, that buried it, that didn't do anything with it. Ugh. That was not good. It was not good. We do not want to get before the Lord and have him say, I gave you some talents, but you were so stinking busy, you never would focus on the real important things, the things I'd called you to. So you didn't really produce much fruit, right? So we don't want that. So the opposite of that is becoming highly focused so that we can be very fruitful, very productive, and so that we can run to live a life of significance. Now, what that means for each of us will vary drastically, right? Like someone could be, maybe you're a car cleaner, you clean people's cars, you detail cars, and you're called to have a ministry within your business of cleaning cars. And so what your specific time or how your specific time is used is going to be very different than mine. It doesn't matter. There's no comparison. So don't think about anyone else when you think about this. Just think about you, what you're called to, and what you need to focus on so that your time is used really wisely. Well, my husband went and had his prayer time, and he walked around our neighborhood and came back, and he said almost the exact same thing. In fact, some of the words were even exact. Like he said, I really feel like God is telling us focus and be highly productive. It's time to live a life of significance where we're maximizing what God has given us for the sake of the kingdom and for living lives that matter. And we were just so blessed as we read over our notes and talked through what God had said. It was like, wow, exact words, exact same words. So that's what we feel like God is saying for 2025. Now, what is he showing us about the enemy? And why does it matter? Of course, some people say, well, I don't even think about the enemy. Don't focus on what the enemy's doing. Okay, go back to that picture of the boxer, right? Picture Mike Tyson preparing to go into the Olympic ring. If he is going to be successful, he first has to, what? Make himself strong and prepare to win. He has to prepare his own self. But what was the second thing? He's got to know his opponent. You can't defeat an opponent that you're completely clueless about. I don't agree at all that we should just completely ignore the enemy and act like he doesn't exist. Of course, we're going to focus on the Lord, vastly more than we are going to focus on the enemy, but we're not to be ignorant. So I felt like the Lord showed me what the enemy was doing so that you and I could successfully overcome the schemes of the enemy. And he showed it to me through a dream. So in this dream, I was standing next to this table talking to someone, and I was resting my hands on the table in front of me. It was like a high top table. So I was standing and the table came to about like midway up my abdomen. So I'm resting my hands in front of me. I'm talking to this person when I suddenly look down and realize I'm resting my hand on someone's leg. And it's a dead body. It's a corpse that is on a table in like where they're going to do an autopsy in the coroner's office. So it was like a metal table, a dead body's on the table. There's a sheet. It was a blue sheet, kind of like a sky blue. I don't know why, but that's very specific. But it was a sky blue sheet, colored sheet over the dead body, and my hands were resting on the leg of the body. And once I realized it was a leg, I could tell it was a man's leg. It was big and strong, but it didn't matter. It was dead. Well, in the dream, I gasped and began backing up and was losing my breath because I was so terrified. I didn't know like how I had gotten there, who this body was. Did I know them? Was it someone I loved? Why was I here? And kind of a little bit, I think I was afraid that even I was going to be killed or die. And then I woke up. Okay. So I felt like the Lord showed me through that dream that the enemy is trying to send two specific types of spirits into the world to distract us, right? Because if the Lord is saying focus, be productive, the enemy's going to be doing the exact opposite, right? So he wants to, if we're supposed to focus, he wants to distract us. And the way he's trying to distract us is through a spirit of death and a spirit of fear. And they kind of go hand in hand. And I felt like there was like the enemy was going to be, I guess, in a way, threatening us with death, making us afraid of death, making us feel like people we loved were going to die. Maybe, hearing about war and rumors of wars and potential attacks. I don't know about you, but I've been very concerned about Trump's inauguration. I just really pray he's wise and humble and not boastful and arrogant and continuing with plans as usual if that's not the best idea for him to do. I really think they want him dead. I'm praying for his protection all the time and those around him and his family and the people that he's bringing onto his cabinet. And I just feel like there's really a spirit of death after every single one of them. But I also see how there's a spirit of death coming after us. In fact, I even have had some things happen in my body recently where I thought, am I going to die? And then I was fearful, and not because I'm afraid of death. In fact, I can't wait to go to heaven. I mean, I do not have a fear of death. I have a fear of suffering, I would say, but I don't have a fear of actual death. But the pain that was being manifested in my body, was scary. And so this is the thing. If the enemy can make us feel like we're going to be killed, or someone we love is going to be killed, or there's going to be an attack and it's going to be so scary and people are going to die and make us afraid, well, now suddenly our energy, our mind, our focus is completely off track. If God is saying, focus, be productive, live a life of fruitfulness and significance, run to win this race, and the enemy is saying, you're going to die. Be afraid. Scary things are going to happen. Not only is that going to distract us from what God is asking us to do, but it's also going to make it where we don't have the energy. We don't have maybe the passion, like if I'm going to die, why even do this hard thing? Why even focus and work so hard on these things that God has called me to if I'm just going to die this year anyway? Or if we're all going to die, or if whatever, that just the thoughts that we can be bombarded with when a spirit of death and a spirit of fear are pursuing us. So I've been called to do very specific things this year as far as it goes, like, with that focus and being fruitful and productive. And I'm super excited about some of them. I'm not so excited about other ones, but I'm recording my audiobook right now, which I've had so much warfare. Oh my gosh, it's been crazy, but I'm doing it. I recorded my introduction and chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I am just trucking through and overcoming each obstacle as it arises so that I can be fruitful and productive and get this stinking audiobook recorded, which I know some of you are super excited about because I've heard from you and you've said, hey, I don't really read books. I only listen to audiobooks. So can you make an audiobook? And I am. I'm making an audiobook. So that's one thing I'm doing in 2025. And I am accepting speaking engagements for 2025. I've been asked to speak a lot in the past, and I've said no because I didn't feel well equipped. I just really struggled with speaking. It was always very stressful to me. So part of what I felt like God called me to do was take some classes, read some books, train like an Olympic athlete preparing to go into that boxing ring. So that's what I've done. I have just finished 2 different courses and classes about public speaking and how to be excellent at it. And I am now accepting speaking engagement requests. So if you want me to come speak at your event, I would love to speak for you. So just send me an email, rachelhamm@att.net, and I would be happy to speak at your event. So that's something I'm doing it's very new. That's going to be a big change for me in 2025. So what has the enemy been doing? He's been causing problems in my body. He's been making me feel like I'm going to die. He's been making me feel afraid. He's been trying to intimidate me, trying to throw up obstacles, trying to get me to stop, trying to distract me instead of let me focus. So we have to overcome those obstacles, and we have to be aware and shrewd and cunning and gentle as a dove and wise as a serpent. Remember that message I gave a couple months ago? And so that we can overcome the schemes of the enemy and be highly productive. So, what do I want you to do right now to make 2025 the year that God intends for it to be in your life? Number one, I want you to be hyper-focused on the field that God has called you to so that you can be highly productive, fruitful, and live a life of significance. So what are you being called to focus on? Hopefully you know. The second thing I want you to do is refuse to come into agreement with a spirit of fear or death. So when those intimidation and taunts come of, what is that chest pain you're having? Are you getting ready to have a heart attack? Don't come into agreement with it. Or if you hear of a new pandemic that suddenly is unleashed on the world and it feels scary, don't come into agreement with the spirit of fear. If you hear about attacks and killings and various things that you might hear about, do not come into agreement with a spirit of fear when you hear that. Do not come into an agreement with the spirit of death when you hear about death or are feeling death in your own body or hearing about someone else's death. Don't come into agreement with it so that you can focus on your field, be highly productive, fruitful, and live a life of significance. That is what I have for you today. I hope that this has blessed you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of The Rachel Hamm Show. Also, be looking in your emails. If you sign up, if you get my emails, I'm going to be sending out some emails with like little devotionals to go along with some of the videos that I put out. So you can look for those in your email, and I hope that you enjoy those and those are helpful to you. For now, God bless you, and know that you are loved. See you next time.
Thanks for watching The Rachel Hamm Show. If you found value in today's content, would you consider giving a gift? Any amount is appreciated, and the links to give are in the description box below this video. Or perhaps you'd like to buy one of Rachel's products so she can continue bringing content like this to you. All the links to purchase her products are in the description box below the video. To find out more about Rachel, you can go to her website, rachelhamm.com. That's Rachel, Hamm.com. See you in the next episode of The Rachel Hamm Show.